Alex Pereira has confirmed his willingness to sign a contract for a rematch against Magomed Ankalaev in August. The UFC light heavyweight champion said he will finalize the deal once the contract arrives. This sets the stage for a highly anticipated showdown between the top contenders. Backing up this urgency, Alex Pereira's coach Plinio Cruz isn't interested in giving the UFC light heavyweight champion much time to rest. In fact, he's pushing for Poatan to get right back into action, eyeing a return as soon as August against top contender Magomed Ankalaev. Cruz believes Pereira doesn't need an extended break and is eager to see him defend his title sooner rather than later.
August against Ankalaev.
You like that?
100%.
That's enough time?
I want him to fight tomorrow.
Oh, you want him to, you don't want him to have a break?
No.
Why not?
No, I want him to have a break like he's having right now.
Yeah.
Right? The guy fought 4 times in 1 year. But I don't want to let it sit 1 year, 2 years, 6 months.
Further emphasizing his stance, Cruz believes the judges may have seen it as a loss, but to him, it was simply an off night for Pereira. He stated that even with a full training camp, fighters can still have nights where things just don't click, while on other occasions, they can perform at their best despite minimal preparation. It's the unpredictable nature of the sport, where no amount of work can guarantee the perfect performance. He states that it's not like Alex would need to reinvent himself after the losses, so he does not need the time off before getting back in the ring again. In Cruz's eyes, Alex was a champ and was ready to become a champ once again after the rematch.
Alex lost in the eyes of the judges, and he was on an off day, right? Some people sometimes can go to work and be their best day, sometimes you're not. But it's not that he got to reinvent the wheel. Alex is ready. He was a champ, and he's ready to become the champion again tomorrow.
Building on this perspective, Cruz stated that given how prepared Alex was for the fight, there isn't much they can change, aside from tactical adjustments, of course. From a physical and mental standpoint, Pereira was in top shape, reinforcing the idea that his performance was simply an off night rather than a deeper issue.
Do jeito que eu fiz ali, cara, eu não tenho que mudar nada.
The way that he was ready for the fight, there's nothing that we really got to change.
Okay.
Besides tactics, of course.
Speaking on the fight, Cruz explained that when he and the assistant coach stood up in the 5th round, before the commentators could influence any perspective, they assessed the fight purely on what they saw. He acknowledged that commentary can shape opinions, sometimes steering viewers toward a striking heavy or grappling heavy viewpoint, which can affect how a fight is perceived.
I got me frustrated because honestly, when me and Glover got up on that 5th round, you got to understand one thing. When you watch a fight, cage side, and no commentators talking about the fight, because sometimes the comments can lead you to, you know what I mean? Some guys go towards more the grappling, some guys go towards more, so they can lead your opinion sometimes.
From his vantage point just 5 feet away, Cruz saw Pereira winning 3 rounds. However, he isn't dwelling on it, stating there's no point in crying over spilled milk. Instead, he focuses on moving on so Alex may finish the job he started.
For what I saw, 5 feet from my eyesight, Alex won 3 rounds. I think the statistics, even for significant strikes, the 3rd round was Alex. So if it was not real takedowns on that round, how come they can score to that guy? But I don't want to go back and forth on this because we cannot cry over spilled milk, right? Now let's move on and just get this guy in front of Ankalaev again and let him finish the job that he started.
With that mindset of moving ahead, the focus is now on securing the rematch as soon as possible. The news, first reported by Ariel Helwani and shared by Happy Punch, comes just weeks after Pereira lost his title in a hard-fought battle against Ankalaev. Despite speculation that he might take time off, Pereira made it clear that he's ready to step back into the octagon as soon as possible, stating, "August is a good date. As soon as the contract gets in, I will sign it." Not everyone agrees with Cruz's assessment. Michael Bisping weighed in on the controversy, stating that Alex Pereira was not robbed and fully agreeing with the judge's decision. According to Bisping, the right call was made, and he scored the fight 4-1 in favor of Magomed Ankalaev. From his perspective, Ankalaev did enough to secure the victory, leaving little room for debate on the outcome.
Now, some people thought that Alex Pereira deserved to win the fight. I just did a review show for TNT Sports. One of the hosts on there thought that Pereira was robbed. It wasn't a robbery. It was the correct decision. I had Magomed Ankalaev winning 4 rounds to 1. I've already done my review.
Elaborating on his viewpoint, Bisping broke down his stance that Ankalaev landed the bigger shots, was the more aggressive fighter, and simply had the higher output, while he clarified that Pereira's performance wasn't lazy in the sense of a lack of effort or preparation. He felt that the overall activity level was lacking. In Bisping's view, the appetite, hunger, and sheer will to win just didn't seem to be there for Pereira on the night, which ultimately cost him the fight.
First class, beautiful hotel suites all over the world, and a load of money in the bank. And his children are happy and healthy, and he's still got options. No doubt he will be the next person. It isn't going to be Yuri Prohaska, because Yuri Prohaska came out, congratulated Magomed Ankalaev, and Ankalaev came back and said, "You're a fraud. Go away and win some fights." So Pereira cleaned out the division. Ankalaev is on a 16-fight unbeaten streak, so the rematch is probably going to happen next.
But a fight that close with a champion as great as Pereira has been.
Further highlighting the stakes, Bisping added that had Alex Pereira won the fight, he would have likely been calling out John Jones in dramatic fashion. He believes Pereira would have seized the moment to set up a potential super fight, especially since Jones has already shown interest in the matchup. However, with the loss, that possibility has taken a significant hit, leaving Pereira to regroup before any talk of a showdown with the heavyweight champion can resurface.
And generally, when you're trying to work your way up, you're trying to build a name, get a following, get the win streak long and popping, which is what he did. But now he's the champ, and the champs don't fight usually as regularly as what Pereira did, okay? Now, that fight would be about 7 months away. That's quite long. Maybe that's a good thing for Pereira. Gives him time to actually go away and have a break, have a rest, get hungry again, get mean, and miss not being a champion. Because
Recognizing Pereira's achievements, Bisping acknowledged Pereira's impressive run, praising him for defending his title 4 times before the loss. He believes Pereira has earned a break, but also admires his dedication to immediately returning to the gym instead of taking time off. With an immediate rematch on the horizon, Bisping posed the key question: what will Pereira do differently next time? The former champion's adjustments could determine whether he reclaims his title or faces another tough night against Ankalaev.
But realistically, the man's done it all. He's knocked it out the park. He was a 2-weight champion in kickboxing, a 2-weight division champion in the UFC, made a tremendous amount of money, changed the trajectory of his family's life forever, made millions of dollars, and did it all with his fists, never sold himself short. He's a fan favorite, he's very popular, and he's got nothing more to prove. And he could go on, by the way. If he loses to Ankalaev again, he could continue having fights, he could continue main eventing.
Daniel Cormier shared a similar stance as he shared his thoughts on the fight, stating that with the way things were unfolding, it was always going to be Ankalaev's night. He acknowledged that many had a hard time seeing it that way, because Pereira has a history of flipping fights in an instant. However, in this case, Cormier believes Ankalaev deserved the win, praising his performance as a beautifully executed fight from start to finish.
It was always going to be Magomed Ankalaev with the way that it was going. He was winning the fight, and it was kind of hard to give him the credit that he deserved, just because we have seen Pereira on so many occasions flip a fight. Guys, this is 2 fights in a row where we have seen Poatan kind of losing. Tonight he wasn't able to work himself back into the fight. Magomed Ankalaev fought a beautiful fight.
Expanding on his analysis, Cormier further broke down Ankalaev's approach, emphasizing that his refusal to take a back step played a crucial role in the fight. By constantly pressing forward, Ankalaev forced Pereira into tough positions, exposing a key weakness that Pereira isn't as effective when fighting off the back foot. DC added, "It would be hard for me to imagine a card that Pereira was up 3-1, and I was like, I think it's 2-2. I was wrong. It was 3-1 Ankalaev." Cormier credited Ankalaev for successfully implementing his game plan, dictating the pace, and neutralizing Pereira's usual explosiveness.
Ankalaev was unwilling to take a back step. And by being unwilling to take a back step, he really did put the champion Poatan in some rough positions. You know, what tonight showed, and you heard the urgency in the corner of Alex Pereira, tonight showed that he's just not as good when he has to go backwards. Still a good fighter. He was still in the fight. But Ankalaev had more success than we anticipated because he was able to implement that game plan.
Assessing Pereira's physical limits, Cormier pointed out that Alex Pereira has likely maxed out the weight classes he can move up to. He states that at middleweight, his power was outright ridiculous, overwhelming opponents with ease. Even at light heavyweight, his knockout ability remained a serious threat, but the difference was clear. Fighters in the division could absorb his shots better. Expanding on this notion, Cormier further elaborated on Pereira's size, suggesting that after watching Ankalaev pressure him relentlessly, it's clear that 205 might be the highest weight class he can effectively compete in. He noted that Pereira is simply too slim for a potential move to heavyweight, where the size and physicality of opponents would pose an even greater challenge. Addressing critics who claimed he switched up on Pereira, Cormier defended his stance, stating that his analysis is based on what he saw in the fight, rather than any bias against the former champion.
I said at heavyweight, especially after watching Ankalaev kind of just stalk him,
Yeah.
we might have maxed out the weight at 205. He's too slim a little bit.
Yeah.
They were saying I switched up on Alex Pereira. Is that a bad take? Is that a take to me?
I don't know that.
Does that feel like me on Alex Pereira? Is that a bad take?
No, and I don't think, I mean, we've done the show for a couple years. I don't think you ever said that Alex would do well against John Jones or Tom Aspinall. I think we always said that was probably not a great fight for him in both those cases.
Despite this, Cormier looks ahead to the rematch. Cormier acknowledged that Pereira has earned another shot at the title, not necessarily because of controversy, but due to the lack of a clear next challenger for Magomed Ankalaev. Given the current landscape of the division, he believes running it back makes the most sense. Cormier also suggested that both fighters would likely put on an even better performance in a rematch, making for another exciting showdown between the two.
I believe he earns a title fight again, a rematch, just because there really is no clear person as to who should fight Magomed Ankalaev right now. I think these guys should fight again, because I believe that both would fight better. Both would fight better if they had to fight each other again. I think that it could be another fun fight.
Drawing parallels to past experiences, Alex Pereira reflected on his loss, comparing it to his defeat against Israel Adesanya. He admitted that setbacks like this force him to reassess certain aspects of his life, not so much in terms of training, but in a broader sense. Pereira hinted at the need to evaluate what's improving and what's declining in his personal life, suggesting that his focus extends beyond just adjustments inside the cage.
Foi mais uma perca, né? Mesmo depois de conquistando muitas coisas. Corrigir algumas coisas e voltar melhor.
Well, got me thinking, right? Like, always get to think. For example, when I lost to Israel Adesanya, a few things I had to reevaluate in my life, my personal life, things to get better, things to get worse. In the same right now. Reevaluate, see what you can get better from there. Not too much in training, but overall in life.
Adding a lighthearted observation, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson pointed out a telling moment before the official decision was announced, where Bruce Buffer showed the results to Dana White. Johnson jokingly suggested that Dana White was likely checking to see if his bets were going to hit, noting the visible disappointment on the UFC president's face. Whether it was frustration with the outcome or something else entirely, Johnson couldn't help but highlight the reaction as a noteworthy moment in the aftermath of the fight.
Dana White right here, I don't know if this is against the law or not, but he's already seen who won the fight. He's trying checking to see if his bets are going to hit. But ours did at Prize Picks, so make sure you guys make the picks in the right place, which is Prize Picks. Dana White checking the scorecard already. Let's take a look so you get a view in his face. He goes, well... Well,
providing his scorecard, Demetrius Johnson made it clear that he scored the fight 4-1 in favor of Magomed Ankalaev, believing the decision was the correct one. However, despite the result, he remains a big fan of Alex Pereira and has immense respect for what he has accomplished. Johnson emphasized that defending a title 3 times in just 7 months is an incredible achievement, showcasing Pereira's warrior mentality and willingness to take on all challengers without hesitation.
And I had it like that. I had a 4-1. I did have it 4-1 for Ankalaev. I'm still a big fan of Alex Pereira. I think Alex Pereira, for what he's been able to do, 3 title fights in a span of 7 months. And here's the thing. When you travel around the world and you're doing all those sparring matches, it does give you the opportunity to actually hone in on your games. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I would love for him to spend more time in the gym. Like, hey.
Adding his perspective, Arman Tsarukyan weighed in on the fight, stating that he had expected Ankalaev to win even before they stepped into the cage, unless Pereira landed a lucky punch, according to Arman. acknowledging that Pereira is extremely dangerous, especially with his left hook and powerful kicks. However, Ankalaev made the necessary adjustments during the fight. According to Tsarukyan, Ankalaev shifted his approach mid-fight, applying constant forward pressure, which allowed him to take control and convincingly win the last 4 rounds.
Yeah, I knew that Ankalaev gonna beat him if it's not lucky punch. Yeah, I mean, we know like Pereira, he's so dangerous. He has a good left hook, and just I thought like left hook and kicks, leg kicks. So, but first round he started with leg kicks, and I was scared like again they're gonna like kill his legs, and then he gotta change his stand. But then he could change his game. He started to go forward, and he won last, I think, 4 rounds.
Breaking down his scorecard, Arman Tsarukyan gave his scorecard for the fight, stating that he had it 3-2 in favor of Ankalaev. He believed Magomed clearly lost the first round, but bounced back to take the second, third, and fourth. As for the fifth, Tsarukyan saw it as a close 50-50 round where the outcome could have gone either way. While he ultimately had Ankalaev winning, he acknowledged that the later rounds were highly competitive. Echoing a similar sentiment regarding Ankalaev's performance, Beneil Dariush weighed in on the fight, shutting down claims that the bout was slow or boring. While some fans voiced disappointment over the pacing, Dariush saw it differently, calling it a great fight from a technical standpoint. He highlighted Ankalaev's ability to control distance and neutralize Pereira's devastating left hook, pointing out the small but crucial tactical adjustments that allowed the Dagestani fighter to shut down one of the most dangerous strikers in the division. He added, "There wasn't a whole lot you could criticize on his Ankalaev's part, and so I genuinely enjoyed the fight." Dariush emphasized that watching Ankalaev execute his game plan so effectively made the fight highly entertaining for him as both a fighter and an analyst.
I thought it was a great fight. I know I was seeing a lot of comments on like, oh, the fight was slow, it was boring, but I thought it was actually a great fight because the distance control by Ankalaev, the ability to shut down Pereira's left hook, the little things he was doing to be able to stop so much offense from such an offensive fighter is really impressive for me. So for me to be able to watch that and break that down, I had a really good time.
Building on his analysis of Ankalaev's performance, Beneil Dariush offered his breakdown of the fight, siding with the judge's decision in favor of the new champion, while acknowledging that Pereira may have taken the first round and possibly the fifth. Dariush ultimately scored the rest of the fight for Ankalaev, emphasizing the level of control the Dagestani fighter displayed throughout the contest. He pointed out Ankalaev's ability to dictate the pace, manage distance, and systematically shut down Pereira's striking arsenal.
I had round 1 for Pereira and maybe round 5, but I had pretty much everything else for Ankalaev. I thought he was in control.
Extending his thoughts on the division's future, Beneil Dariush has thrown his support behind an immediate rematch between Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira, arguing that there are no other clear contenders at light heavyweight who deserve the next title shots. While acknowledging that Jan Blachowicz could be in the conversation, Dariush pointed out the former champ's inactivity as a limiting factor in the division's current landscape.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see any other contenders in that division that are as worthy as Ankalaev or Pereira. I mean, the only guy I can really think of is Jan Blachowicz, but he hasn't fought in so long. So, but because in my opinion, he has a win over both guys, right? Just the way he fought these guys and how well he did.
Building on his case for a rematch, Dariush emphasized the intrigue of seeing how both fighters would adapt, having studied both Pereira and Ankalaev. Dariush believes the rematch makes the most sense, considering how competitive their first fight was and the adjustments each fighter could bring to the table. He expressed excitement about seeing how Pereira and Ankalaev adapt for their second encounter, noting that strategic improvements could lead to a very different fight next time around.
Yeah, I think the rematch makes a lot of sense, and I'm looking forward to seeing the adjustments they make. Typically, it's the guy who loses that makes the better adjustments when the fight is so close, but you know, Ankalaev and his team are so sharp. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do.
Shifting the focus, Alex Pereira had a message for his fans following the defeat, making it clear that he wasn't going to offer any excuses, only a promise to put on a better performance next time.
Foi uma perca, mas acho que, como eu falei, eu vim fazendo muitas coisas, né, e muitas pessoas me apoiando. Eu já vi também alguns atletas que, pô, quando tava ganhando ali, as pessoas sempre elogiando e mandando mensagem, e quando perdia, pô, esquecia. E eu ficava assim, com medo, assim, pô, será que comigo vai ser assim também? E muitas pessoas nos comentários falando, essas pessoas que torcem, quando o cara perder, vai ser os mesmos que vão criticar.
He expressed deep appreciation for the support he received, acknowledging that in the past, a loss often meant being abandoned by fans. However, this time the love and backing remained unchanged, and for that, Pereira is truly grateful.
I know I'm not putting an excuse, but I'm going to put a much better fight for you guys this time. I'm really thankful for the love from all you guys because back in the days that you see when some people lose, everybody abandoned them. The fans abandoned them. And some people sometimes go in the comments on my posts and say, yeah, when you lose, everybody's going to leave you. Like, or nobody's going to. And honestly, I even question myself if everybody let me go. And the love is the same. So thank you so much for the love. Thanks so much for the loyalty.
Eager to bounce back, Pereira is wasting no time, aiming for an August rematch with Magomed Ankalaev to reclaim his title. While opinions on their first fight vary, his determination remains unwavering. With both fighters set to make key adjustments, the rematch promises to be a must-watch showdown. If you want more fight news, updates, and breakdowns, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay locked in by hitting the bell icon. Big fights are coming, and you won't want to miss a thing, and we'll see you in the next video with all the latest news.